To order. Our first item is the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Runchi, can you read our mission statement?
I can if I didn't. The mission of the Marshall Public School District is to educate, support, and prepare all learners for success.
Thank you. Our next item is approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Sarah Runchi and a second by Bill Swope to approve the agenda. Any corrections or additions? If not, I'll call for the vote.
I have to log out. I don't have my.
Oh.
Let me go back in.
That rains, of course.
Technical issues up here for the moment. So. There, and the agenda is approved. Our next item is our student recognition. This is something we've been doing since last fall, recognizing a student from each building at our second board meeting of the month. So what we do is, as I call your name, I want the student to stand up, and I will read a short bio for each student, and then at the end, I have a certificate for you, and we're going to take your picture back there by the Marshall banner, back there in the corner. So our first spotlight is from Parkside, Jorelka Martinez-Gillen. Can you stand up? There you go. She was nominated by Mrs. Hoppy. Jorelka is, am I pronouncing that right, Jorelka?
Jorielka.
Okay. Is a perfect example for the Tiger Spotlight. Jorelka has grown so much this year on building her vocabulary while writing her sentences. She works hard every day to learn new words and include them in her writing. She has a strong love for learning new things and enjoys writing her thoughts in her journal each day. Jorelka gives her full attention to making sure each sentence in her writing follows our 5-star writing rules: capital letters, ending marks, finger spaces, heart words, and that it makes sense. Way to go, Jorelka. Congratulations. Our next student is from Southview, Zayden Moose, nominated by Mrs. McKinnon. He is a wonderful student who comes to school every day ready to learn. He is a hard worker and is helpful to his teachers and his peers. He is also kind to everyone and also always showing Tiger pride. Congratulations, Zayden. From the middle school, Anderson Ramos Moda, nominated by the 8th grade team. Anderson has worked incredibly hard this year. In 8th grade. Yeah, you got to stand.
Yeah.
I know who you are. Thank you. During class time, he gives his full attention to the task at hand. Anderson asks great questions when needed and often stays after for extra help if the opportunity presents itself. Anderson also is a bright spot in many people's day at MMS. Anderson's smile and positivity is infectious. He will frequently ask people how their day is going as he walks the hall or is in his class. We are excited to highlight Anderson as a student of the month because of the person and student that he is. Congratulations, Anderson. From the high school, Logan Conway, nominated by Mrs. Kellen. Brenda Kellen, Logan's BPA advisor. There expresses deep admiration for her student. Reflecting on their 4 years of collaboration, she highlights Logan's exceptional qualities of kindness and thoughtfulness, which have left a lasting impression on everyone he encounters. In particular, Brenda is especially impressed by Logan's dedication and achievements within the local chapter of Business Professionals of America. His work in BPA has showcased his leadership skills, determination, and commitment to excellence, setting him apart as a student member. Despite his undeniable contributions, Logan remains humble, consistently prioritizing the success and recognition of his peers over his own. Brenda believes that Logan's selfless nature and outstanding accomplishments deserve widespread recognition and celebration. Congratulations, Logan. And for Maytech, Liesl Gunderson, nominated by Mrs. Bestmeyer and Mrs. Kern. Liesl is a very positive, friendly, and caring to all students, staff, and visitors that enter Maytech. All of the teachers at Maytech have stated how positive and encouraging Liesl is every day. She works hard in her classes and has done very well with her academics. We truly enjoy having her with us. Mrs. Elton stated, Liesl comes to class with a positive attitude and a smile every day. She works hard to get her work done and asks questions when she needs help. She is kind to everyone and a pleasure to have in class. Mrs. Basemeyer stated, Liesl is thoughtful in class discussions and is always willing to contribute. She is kind and respectful to everyone. Her work is done well and reflects the time and effort she puts into it. Mr. Klein said Liesl does an excellent job each day at striving to understand what is being studied, always contributes a solid effort and amazing attitude to the class. Her outgoing and kind spirit, along with her willingness to learn new concepts, lift up her classmates and teachers alike. Congratulations, Liesl. Join me back there in the corner. We'll take your picture.
So parents, if you want to take some pictures during this time, you're welcome to do so as well. We'll line the kids up and snap a couple shots.
You're going to stand again, Anderson. Yes, stand.
Is it the buzzing?
There want you two girls come down here.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's great.
Great job, you guys.
Great job. Logan's principal tells me he took home a first and second at state BPA. Is that correct, Logan?
Yes, that's correct.
That's awesome.
Good job,
Congratulations.
Logan.
And thank you all for coming and your support.
Thank you for being here.
Appreciate it. You're welcome to stay, but you don't have to.
Logan. Logan, what's up for next year?
Next year? I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jeremy, you made it
Bye, Liz.
from our team. There's a number.
Ryan, how many made it to nationals? Do you know?
Well, I think we had 18 or 19 qualify for nationals, many of them in multiple events, but I don't know that many will be going.
Okay.
Sure.
He was still working on that this morning. So,
We've had a
good
season.
turnout.
Yeah.
Our next item is a public forum. Is there anybody from the public want to approach the board? Seeing none, we'll move on to our presentation, our bar update from the high school. Welcome, you guys.
Sync. Where am I going?
I understand Emily's super excited to do this tonight.
I always am.
It's her favorite time of the year.
It's my favorite.
Well, thanks for having us. We wanted just to give an update where things are at with the bar program. This is year 5. And so we want to just kind of give some updates as we really are in a transition period, as we transition from the grant to the district moving to kind of a self-funding model. And so our focus this year has really been on with our Network for Schools improvement. And for those who maybe don't know or don't remember, we are one of 30 schools throughout the nation who were a recipient of the Gates Foundation grant. So we work with schools specifically in Minnesota, Illinois, and California. We meet with those schools on a monthly basis. And just today, Emily and I, we have a weekly meeting every Monday, and we were talking about and just kind of reflecting on what we've learned over the last 5 years from those schools and the opportunities to share ideas, hear from other educators that give us a national perspective on successes and challenges that we are having. And just really the chance to learn from other schools has been a great experience for us. This year, our focus for the NSI work has been focusing on Plan, Do, Study, Act cycles, so cycles of continuous improvement. And we'll talk a little bit about what we've done with those, but really just specifically looking at attendance, behavior referrals, and just learning how to use that tool for us improvement in all of our processes that we aren't satisfied with how we're getting, how it's performing. So all of our 9th grade students are on a bar team, and we have 3 bar teams, orange, black, and white. And then we have a pilot group of 10th graders who were students who we felt as they left 9th grade, we're still going to need some additional support and eyes on them and just checking in to see how 10th grade is going. Currently, we have 12 teachers divided amongst those 3 bar teams of 9th graders. And some of the work we've identified that we need to do a better job with are trying to get those teams better balanced so that it works within their high school schedule. Our Community Connect meeting is a twice-a-month meeting where it's myself and coordinator, so it's admin, it's our nurses, it's our counselors, it's our school resource officer, it's our school psychologist, and then our community substance use counselor, working to try to brainstorm ways to help all of our students be more successful. And then one of the things that we were able, and thank you for that, was additional release time for Emily, our bar coordinator. So she has an additional 90 minutes per day this year to continue to work and allocate time and energy on the bar program and working on behalf of those bar teams.
That 90 minutes, even though it doesn't seem like a ton, has made a gigantic difference. It really has. And I'm still in the classroom for a block a day. So I still get to see teenagers and do the fun part of my job, but the extra 90 minutes that I was allowed for release time has made a huge difference. I really want to focus on the bar teachers because I don't know that we've ever come here and given you an update and only talked about the teachers. Because really, the teachers are the ones who make everything work. I put all the systems in place and I do all the behind the scenes stuff, and I make sure all the spreadsheets look nice and all the reports are run, and I do the boring stuff basically. But the teachers are the ones who put it all into action. Our 12 bar teachers, we have Jenny Basut, Steph Bott, Kathy Kraus, Katie Jensen, Lindsay Larson, Allison Marshall, Mitch Maxwell, Nicole Peterson, Chris Schuckert, Bessie Sklicki, me, I guess I still count, and then Carrie Suker. And of those teachers, those 12 teachers, The final 1, 2, 3, 4 will be attending the conference in California this year. So all of our bar teachers will have been to the national conference in California. Their day-to-day tasks in terms of the bar program add quite a bit to their plate, but you'll see on the next couple slides, it doesn't impact them in a negative way. So teachers are in charge of tracking data for the students that are assigned to them each week. That means looking at their grades every week, looking at their attendance, checking their missing assignments, checking in with them to make sure that they've caught up on some of those missing assignments, making plans with those students on how they're going to get caught up, all sorts of things like that. They follow up on different interventions that we put into place to try and help students be more successful. A lot of what they do is communicate with other teachers. So we don't have, other than Allison Marshall, we don't have a math teacher on our bar team, which is pretty typical for bar schools because math is all the grades for all the maths, and it's not English 9, English 10, it's not divided that way. So we do a lot of communication with bar teachers, but with non-bar teachers as well, to try and figure out, okay, this kid has an F in this class, but they have A's in every other class. So how do we figure out what's going on? And it's a lot of that back and forth communication with other teachers. We also act as a liaison between teachers and students. Sometimes students are scared to talk to teachers. I've been told I have a grumpy face, and that sometimes they don't want to talk to me because my face is grumpy. So we are that person that they can come to when they're like, you know, I really need to talk to Mr. Maxwell, but he's scary. Like, okay, well, I will come with you, and he's not scary, I promise, okay? They facilitate iTimes lessons, which is the curriculum that BAR uses for social emotional learning. And then we have 2 different block meetings a week. We have small block meetings, which is just the teachers, and then big block meetings, which we bring in administration and counseling. So these next few slides, I'm sorry?
Weekly?
Weekly, yep. And those, we were able to arrange the schedule where we have common prep. So those meetings occur during our prep time. These next few slides, I just asked the teachers for their feedback. Like, what do you think about this? And I didn't say one way or another. I said, I just want to know what you think. And they're all pretty honest with me. So if they had something not nice to say, they would have said it. And I would have left it in there because this is what they want us to know, right? One of the things that I think is important, it's the second bullet point, that it is a lot of extra work and a lot of extra time for these teachers. The data entry part, when you get it down, it goes pretty quickly, but it's still at least 15 minutes for the data entry part, 2 meetings a week, in addition to all the other stuff that teachers put into it. So it is important for us to recognize and value how much teachers are putting into the BAR program.
Both of those meetings take up a prep time?
They take up a half a prep time.
Okay.
So they're in essence giving up 1 day a week of their prep to meet with the other teachers and us to talk about how students.
And as we go through some of these comments, you'll see that that is worth it to them in the end. Being able to have connections with other teachers, being able to increase our connections with more students. I only teach 2 sections of English 9, but I get to know every 9th grader through these meetings. I get to learn about every 9th grader. There's 252 of them. And it's a lot of kids, but it's totally worth it because we can help them be more successful and support them in the high school. So the teachers,
All 252 of our kids are covered by BAR in 9th grade.
yes,
And those 252 are split up amongst 3
teams.
3 teams, yep. And from this slide, the biggest thing that I wanted to point out is it's in the middle. My BAR students know that I check their grades every week and that someone has eyes on them every week. At the beginning of the year, most of the kids think it's just me. because I'm the one who sends out an email if you have an F. I'm the one who assigns you to guided study time. And they think I'm the only one who's looking at grades, but then as the year goes on, they figure out like, oh, wait a minute. My social studies teacher is looking at my grades too. Oh, so's my English teacher. Oh wait, my math teacher knows all my grades. And so it dawns on them like, this is a whole team effort. We do this together and we do this to support you and help you. So I think that that's a really important thing that kids realize. So on a weekly basis, I keep track of all sorts of stuff, but some of the most important things that I keep track of is the passing percentage for all grades. 9 through 12, not just BAR students. I keep track of the passing percentage for all grades each week. We also look at the comparison between our BAR leveling system and MTSS to see if we're in alignment with our tiers, and I'll show you what that looks like. We look at the in-progress grades for all 9th graders, so not just if they have a failing grade, we look at all of their grades every week. And then we have approximately 45 10th graders in our pilot group. And so we look at their in-progress grades every week. And then the interventions that we keep track of. So we keep track of students coming to guided study time. We keep track of students who come to homework help after school. We keep track of those who stay with other teachers after school. And we just kind of have tabs on those interventions throughout the year. So this is just an example of our passing percentage for week 6, 7, and 8. And this isn't the posted grades that we do it every 3 weeks, which is a little bit different than what Brian keeps track of. This is, I run the report of how many 9th graders we have, how many 10th graders, 11th graders, 12th graders. But one of the things that I feel is interesting is it always is going to go up and down and up and down. But the closer you get to a grading window, the better everything looks, which is really fun to watch. You can also tell when we've had a week where we've either had snow days, or we had a whole bunch of people gone because of activities, or we've had a bunch of kids out because everyone got sick, whatever. You can see those fluctuations throughout the weeks as well.
The number, when it says number of students fail, is that failing one course or failing
One or more, yep.
one or more?
So
Okay.
individual students who have one or more Fs,
Okay.
not the number of Fs. And then this is how we track our comparison between BAR's leveling system and MTSS tiers of instruction. So it's just another gauge of how the BAR program is fitting into a lot of the supports that we already have in place. So you'll see that our 3 teams, black, white, orange, our black team has 75 students, white 105, orange 71. When we were talking about needing to balance the teams, this is what we meant, because they got a little lopsided. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Scheduling, we had a big influx of new to country students, and they all ended up on the white team because I tracked them. And so like some of the things just got a little bit wonky, but this is something we'll work towards next year of trying to balance that out more.
One of the things, some of the things that we've learned, certainly our concern right now focuses on our chronic absenteeism rate and the percentage of students who are missing school more often or too often. We realize we need to use that BAR model as really a driving force to help build those relationships with students. Some students, it's easier for some staff to build relationships with than others, and so we realized we needed to do a better job building relationships with all students. We need to continue to try to figure out how can we expand this support into grade 10. We're seeing more 10th graders that we think need that continued support, particularly as we continue to realize the effects coming out of COVID. And then Just understanding that our students who are struggling with mental illness and substance abuse are also often struggling with attendance and academics, and that things rarely happen in isolation, but there's a lot of related factors. So those are some of the things that we've learned and we're continuing to work on.
What connections do you make with parents, with students who are failing?
Well,
You're intervening
Yeah.
internally, but what connection do you have with the parents as a result of what you're seeing with that student?
The individual bar teachers connect with parents weekly.
Okay.
As far as what I do, before every parent-teacher conference time, I send emails to the parents who we would really, really like to see. And so we invite them personally, hey, if you want us to set up a meeting, we can set up a meeting during conferences. If it makes it easier, just talk to everybody at once. So we try to invite those parents personally. We also make a lot of positive contacts home. We probably make more positive contacts home than negative contacts home. Each bar teacher sends a postcard home each week, either to the parents or to the students.
Really? That's nice.
we're communicating with parents via email after every 3-week grading window, giving them an update. We really view those 3-week grading windows as, I think of it kind of like a blood pressure check along the way, so that when we get to the end of the year, end of the course, end of the semester, that no parent is surprised about how their child has done. This graph talks about what we've learned with regards to absenteeism, and you can see the 2 years of COVID. One of the things, if I can just borrow this for a second, that we'll just point out, our enrollment, this was as of March 1, and we're kind of studying this a little bit differently, but these numbers represent any student who has been enrolled at Marshall High School at any time during that academic year. This number represents those students who were currently enrolled at that time on March 1st. So this would be students who maybe started with us but moved away, or students who didn't start with us and joined at any time during the year. So these numbers do look a little higher. And the same for our count of students who are chronically absent. But what we really want to point out is how after COVID, we've seen such a huge increase of students missing school. And so if we look at the 17-18 school year, we only had 88 students who were defined as chronically absent. And chronically absent is defined by the federal government of anyone missing 10% or more of school during the school year. And so as of March 1st, this year, we had 193 students who had missed 10% or more of the day, or down here at the bottom, you can see it in percentages, 22%. We thought that was really bad. And as we've dug into it and we're starting to see more, Jeremy has had us looking at the other schools, and so we're seeing what those look like in our district. We're seeing more statewide press be given to this, and so the national average, or the state average in Minnesota is running around 30%. National average is slightly higher than that. So a third of students missing 10% or more of the school days. And like Minneapolis, St. Paul, the Star Tribune reported that was upwards of 45%. So suddenly, our 22%, we didn't feel as doom and gloom as we did when we just looked at that in isolation. But it's still nowhere where it used to be when it was 10%. And we just know that regardless of the reasons why students aren't in school, it makes it tough to be successful in school if you are not there on a regular basis. And that's a habit for life, whether it be attending or on time, just how important of a life skill that is that will stay with our students. So you'll probably continue to hear some more discussion and focus about that moving forward, because we really feel like that's a big area. Not the root cause, that we've got to figure out what that is, But that's kind of what we're seeing.
Have you seen some improvement throughout the year, this year, or especially in the ninth graders that are in the bar program? Have you seen any difference?
Well, I don't know that we could say we've seen improvement because this number is still, quite high compared to what it used to be.
And we haven't broken that down by grade level. We've just done whole building at a time.
We have seen, we've broken it down and looked at like, for these 193 students, we've looked at things like their ethnicity. And it's really not largely out of alignment compared to our overall student population of the 888. We've looked at male and female. We've looked at EL versus non-EL, special education versus non-special education. More males than females, but we also have in our school about 85 more males than females. And so when you look at that compared to the chronic absenteeism, we haven't really seen like one group where we can target as an area for improvement that will make a huge difference. It's sort of within the range of our total school makeup.
So has BAR made a difference in attendance for our ninth graders comparatively to those students who are not involved with BAR?
That's where we need to go further and break this 193 down and take a look at which, of these who are ninth grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, and look at how does the percentage of those students chronically absent, how does that align with the percentage of our total school population to
That'd be
see?
useful information.
Over the last 2 weeks, we've really been digging into that. So it's only been the last couple of weeks we've really been digging.
I know, but that'd be
One
great information.
of the challenges is that originally, and we just went back and looked at currently enrolled versus enrolled throughout the year, this number is probably closer to 950, 960. So part of the challenge is our mobility that we are seeing and experiencing. And we're seeing, just like we've talked about the need for Marshall Online, number of those students who are chronically absent have chosen to go online school or to a homeschool type environment. So
looking towards the future, now that the Gates Foundation grant cycle will be coming to an end, we'll pay for BAR out of our budget. I actually had another meeting, before I had a meeting with Brian this morning, I had another meeting with one of the heads of BAR, and she was talking about how because all of the NSI schools, the 31 schools, have been working together for these 5 years. We've all said, we don't want to be done. Like, we find so much value in our network and find so much value being able to bounce ideas off each other. They're going to try and figure out how to kind of keep us in a cohort, even though we won't be part of a grant cycle like we were with the Gates Foundation. We still all want to work together. So that's been something super beneficial that's come out of this. We'll be going to the national conference in Palm Springs. Sorry, I know. Oh, shucks, Palm Springs. We participate in an extra day because of the NSI grant that we're part of. So I'll be presenting, I'll be highlighting our school during that part. We make a big poster, and it's actually pretty cool how they have it all laid out. So I'll be highlighting the work that we've done at the high school. And then Brian and I are going to be leading one of the breakout sessions on PDSA cycles.
When is that?
End of April.
last week of April.
Okay.
Yep. And we just want to continue working with continuous improvement. We run more PDSA cycles probably than anybody. And it has made such a huge difference. And in even just putting together what we're going to be presenting on when we're out in California, it didn't dawn on me before how often we do it, but it's just become something that's so ingrained as part of our school culture. I think that it's a really important thing that we keep working towards. We need to continue to have our support systems in place. weekly check-ins with teachers, with bar teachers, our lunchtime support, that need for academic support during that time. We've also improved our action planning meetings. These are meetings that we have with individual students. So if I have a kid on my list and I want to sit down and have a meeting with them, there's a form that we fill out and we set some very short-term goals. And those have been very successful for students. And then we, like I said before, we use PDSA cycles for pretty much everything. And we are always looking for places to improve. We've been doing this for 5 years, and we have many areas that we need to improve. I don't know that we'll ever be perfect at it, and that's the whole point. We're glad that we get to continue working towards this. Do you have any questions for us?
The other bar schools that you mentioned that you're going to keep working with, are they having any of those attendance issues too? Is that something you guys have talked about?
All of them.
Yeah.
We, as part of BAR, we attend, Emily attends monthly national BAR meetings with, online with the BAR coordinators, and I attend quarterly meetings with other principals. And this year, one of the focuses of the meetings has been on attendance. And it's a nationwide problem, and it's a statewide problem, and it's a local problem, and we're not unique with regards to what we're seeing. And it's not specific to high school age students. It's middle school and elementary, and you know, when you don't come to school, it's easy for not coming to school to become a habit. And then that becomes a hard habit to break. So.
Yes. Okay.
I do think these students going from middle school to high school transition, that's a tough transition. You know, their expectations, it's different. So the BAR program, we can set them up in that 9th grade, you know, that foundation to get them on the right track. It's a great program. I've seen it personally work. It was really good. So I do like it.
Nationally, when you look at some of the statistics of students failing 9th grade, is the highest percentage of, you know, you might see 35-40% of 9th grade students failing and then falling behind in terms of credits for graduation. And once you fall behind, it's hard to get caught up. And we just feel like if we can keep them on track through their 9th grade year in terms of credits for graduation, how much that helps them for graduating in 4 years. So
Is your goal, Brian, because you've added another team in 10th grade this year to take care of the at-risk kids from 9th grade, is your goal to continue that in 11th and 12th grade with the at-risk kids that you've identified?
well, our hope is as students progress and mature, that we are able to peel back some of that support.
Yeah.
And they start to take more ownership. And we often talk about there's such a fine line between support and enablement.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to find that just right line for some, so that for some, we're enabling them if we do too much, but others need that level of support to be successful. And so that's, as we peel back, and we're doing it with fewer students in grade 10, our hope is that by 11th grade and 12th grade, and then those students who have gotten into a situation where they are so far credit deficient, then our next level support becomes the alternative school, really for those 11th and 12th graders, to try to help them recover credits and continue to pursue their diploma.
Okay.
One of the ways, though, that we do continue the support into 11th and 12th grade is when I run the passing percentage every week. Any student who has a failing grade, I email, hey, your grade is too low in this class. Talk to me, let's make a plan. And a lot of times they do either email back or they come and see me.
Good.
And they like, hey, can you give me a list of my missing assignments? Hey, I made up those laps for PE, so my grade should be okay. So a lot of them do come check in with me.
In a way, Emily's position as a BAR coordinator also kind of becomes sort of I think of it as like a student success coordinator, where with this extra time that the board allowed her to have this year, gives her that time to reach out to those students in grades 10, 11, and 12, just so that they know, like, hey, someone's watching, because their school counselors don't have the time to do that with let's be honest, I mean, they're working with a lot of students with mental health and other that are more in crisis, whereas Emily is able to spend a little more time specific to the academic focus.
So we'll continue that time for allowing her to do that?
For next year, that's the plan.
Good.
Yep.
Great work, guys. Appreciate everything you do.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Next item is the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Sarah Brink and a seconded by Bill to approve the consent agenda. I will call for the vote.
Is this the one that you abstained from?
And that is approved. Before we move on, I just want to publicly thank Lockwood Motors and Abra Auto Body for their generous donation to our Career and Technical Institute. It's muchly appreciated, as all of our donors have been very much appreciated.
Huge commitment.
So thank you to those guys. Next item is approval of the bills for February and March. I'll make a motion. I need a second.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by myself and seconded by Sarah Runcie to approve the bills for February and March. Any discussion?
Only thing is you'll see the building construction fund slowly, you can see the amount going down. Slowly will hopefully be down to a zero expense on that fund.
Very good. That will be good. Any further discussion? I'll call for the vote.
Oh, sorry.
And that is approved. Next item is our treasurer's report. Anything to add?
Yeah, I just had a couple of things I wanted to point out. Just each board meeting, talk about the health insurance fund balance since we've gone to self-insured. You can see it rise. It went up about 100,000 over the previous month. I did run a report prior to this. As of March 15th, it's actually down to a negative 98,000. So again, it fluctuates on the amount of claims and then the premiums that we receive. So it is heading in the right direction. And then I just wanted to point out too, on page 10 of the report, our Maslow is where we keep a majority of our money. The graph kind of points out what we've been doing over the past year and a half, where our funds are right now. We did switch over to CDs because the interest rate was a little higher on CDs than the term. The term has fallen a little bit, and they're actually starting to meet where our max interest is. So we just did some reinvestment on 387,000, but we'll have to watch that because some of the interest rates are actually matching where our max is. So we feel good about that. I think we're right around 145,000 in the last year and a half that we've made off of interest. So.
Those long-term CDs or short-term or how?
They're 270 day.
Okay.
Yep.
Can you say that number again? Made off of interest?
104, about right around 145,000.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Dion. Next item are board reports or updates. Anybody have any reports to share? If not, we'll move on to our administrative reports. Jeremy.
Right, a few things to share tonight. My report, just want to share that I attended the MASA conference last week. It was a really good opportunity to learn about things taking place around the state and learning from peers from other districts. So appreciate the ability or the support in going to attend that. I also talked a little bit about BAR. We heard about the high school this afternoon, and I know I meet with one of the supervisors with BAR on a regular basis as well, and he's always singing the praises of the high school and what's going on with BAR. That our high school is one of their model schools with that, so that's just great. We also have BAR. We're starting the implementation at Southview and Middle School. Just really impressed overall with its simple, effective strategies to look at each kid individually and focus on those strengths that are taking place. So a lot of good conversations happening at all of the levels as we're training teachers and just starting to get the ball rolling there. So I'm appreciating the work taking place at all the sites with that. And then I wanted to share the calendar committee. They recently met, discussed options for a calendar for next year. We talked about start dates, PD opportunities, scheduled breaks, trying to get everything put in there with where the holidays fit and everything too. So we have a proposal on the agenda for tonight that we really feel best meets the needs required. So appreciate your consideration with that. Early childhood, she shares some notices about special visitors. We had I Love to Read month in March, or March 1st was in February was I Love to Read month, and the special visitors were the Cat in the Hat and Thing 1 and Thing 2 visit our early childhood classrooms on March 1st. That was always a fun opportunity. Rile the kids up a little bit, and then they leave, and the teacher has to deal with the backlash on that. But it is fun seeing the kids light up when Thing 1 and Thing 2 and the Cat in the Hat show up in the classroom. And if you've read the books, you know they don't come in and just not make a mess. They make their presence known. We had open house recently for kindergarten and preschool. That was held on March 7th from 4 until 6. It was a success. We had families meeting staff, asking questions, getting folders, and getting any assistance they needed with registration. So we had a really good night that evening. Summer classes with early childhood are being offered again this year, where we'll focus on preparing for kindergarten. We're going to do specifically our kindergarten prep class, engaging students in art and science activities. And we're going to do a lot of that at the park this year. We did some of that last year, and it was very well received. So that's the plan again for this year. At Southview, junior achievement has been taking place there in other grade levels as well, but Southview specifically is talking about it. Just fun to hear the kids talking about lessons they've learned from the different activities. The junior achievement lessons focus on financial literacy, work and career readiness, and entrepreneurship, allowing students to be exposed to community members coming from a wide variety of backgrounds. So it's a fun kind of a precursor to some of our CTE work that takes place with the older kids. READ Act, you're going to hear us talk about a lot about that in the next few months. Really working through some things there. Our ELA is the curriculum cycle that's up this year. So the READ Act, the timing is right. It's just teachers are ready to get going, and we don't have all the answers yet from the state. Some curriculums have been approved. There's some additional approvals taking place. So we're really kind of holding for the state to find out what things will they approve, because what the state approves, if we purchase one of the state-approved curriculums, there's some reimbursement available for some of those costs as well, some significant reimbursements. So we want to make sure that what we're looking at for a purchase this year is going to align with what the state is asking us to do. We do have staff that are looking through different options, considering the ones that have been approved by the state. We've got some visits to other elementary schools taking place, and we're going specifically to St. James Elementary to learn about what they're doing and how the curriculum they're using is the one the state has approved and how that works for them. So looking at some different things there. At the middle school, 6th grade language arts students, Paula shares they're getting ready for March Madness. Starting on March 1st, the students in Mrs. Morris's class started looking at 2 different books. They read a chapter and then voted which one would win, and then they're going to keep voting and going through that book until they find out which one wins at the end. So a fun way to get kids encouraged about reading in the classrooms. High school student registration is now complete. We are at that point in the year. They are complete for 24-25. Administration is now working through the next phase, determining which sections, how many are different needed, starting to build that master schedule. It's a big piece of assembling how to provide instruction and learning for everyone at the high school. The Pride in the Tiger Senior Scholarships and Awards, seniors submitted their applications by Monday the 11th. That committee is meeting now in April to select the scholarship recipients for the Pride in the Tiger scholarships. Encourage board members to mark your calendars for May 15th at 7 p.m. On the May 15th, that's going to be the awards ceremony. That's at the high school in the gymnasium. It's a really good event to get to celebrate our seniors and all their accomplishments over the last 4 years, and specifically at the high school. So I'd love to see you guys attend and join us for that. Also looking at some work with criminal justice. On March 8th, Travis attended a criminal justice meeting at Lyon County Courthouse with some local professionals, talked a lot about those truancy issues, attendance things that we're seeing, and partnering with different professionals throughout Lyon County, talking about strategies addressing the issues, including some interventions and court involvement as needed, because truancy is state law. So there are a lot of conversations taking place about how we address those needs in the district. CTE Maytech, they share the CNA students in our afternoon class. They recently got to do a couple of site visits. End of February, they got to tour Heritage Point and learn about assisted living and site and programs. They also got to tour the Memory Care Center. And then on March 6th, they had the opportunity to walk about the Avera, the new sim lab at Avera, and see what that looks like and how that works. So learning a lot about some opportunities for them as they pursue their CNA and finishing that up. Activities, a lot of updates there. Mitch shares that the boys hockey, the Miracle Run came to an end versus New Ulm in the section championship. Head coach Michael Weiss did receive dual honors as Section 3A and Class A Coach of the Year, and Dan Schipper was recognized as the Section 3A's Assistant Coach of the Year. With girls basketball, the Tigers did fall short in the section championship game against St. Peter. That was a good game, those of you who saw that. They concluded the 23-24 season with a 21-9 record. With wrestling at the state competition, 8 individual wrestlers represented the Tigers, with Dylan Luwaji and Lincoln Christensen getting silver medals. 4 others earned podium finishes. Dave Wingert, so one of our assistant coaches, he was recognized with the Section 3A Assistant Coach of the Year award. He also shares that with spring physicals, there's some changes this year. Access Health is promoting some local providers as alternatives for the physicals. They're going to take place at the Access Health location this year instead of at the high school. They're going to be more thorough with some of the examinations and some more room for exam rooms, that kind of thing. So change of previous things, but the services and the partnerships still exist with that. And with speech, we had 3 Tigers showcase their oratory skills at the national choir qualifier, with Mary Lanou getting 5th place in humor category. Tigers have 2 more meets before the section tournament at the end of March, so speech is doing well as well. In Beth's report, she also talks about the READ Act, following those updates, ensuring we're meeting requirements, and the curriculum things that we've talked about earlier, looking at what we're going to pilot and how we're going to move forward. She also shares that we had our district-wide staff professional development morning. That was last month. We had over 55 breakout sessions where staff could choose which ones are most interested in them. A lot of them covered different areas of need for relicensure. It was a good morning. A lot of professional development taking place that morning. A lot of our teachers were teaching the sessions. It was a good morning. She also shares that the college, our career and job fair, it's our 2nd annual. That is scheduled for Wednesday, March 27th at the high school. That's the morning where we have the students are dismissed at noon that day. So we'll have the job fair will be part of that day for them. Grade level each grade level gets an hour to come down the gym and meet with employers, learning about opportunities in the community, some focus specifically on summer things, but just a bunch of employers and hands-on, get to know what job opportunities exist right in town. It's part of our CTE work. Shanda Walker, she's our community engagement coordinator. She's been working really hard to organize that event, and we've got a lot of people coming for that. So board members, if you'd like to see that, you're welcome to come and stop by. Maybe some of you are presenting through your other places of work, but that was a good event last year. We're really looking forward to that for our kids again this year. In Jackie's report, she shares a little bit about physical therapy and occupational therapy this month. They are SPED-related services to assist students with motor or sensory needs that impact their abilities to function at school. Our OT and PT provide services that are, again, the educational related for birth through age 21. These therapists conduct evaluations, assist with writing goals, providing direct and indirect. A lot of our OT PT is indirect, so they consult with the case managers on how to provide those services throughout the day. Therapists also provide direct service ages birth through 2 in the home or community settings. That model allows the therapist to see, just help the parents to work with their kids too. So a lot of good work that takes place in that area in the school. Finally, in Mary Kay's report, she shares that May is American Indian Month in the state of Minnesota. She has been working with our American Indian group. They are planning the spring event for Marshall Public American Indian families. And for the students, it's tentatively set for May 8th at the MHS cafeteria. So we have some final details to work out, but also encourage you to attend that. Again, that's May 8th in the cafeteria to celebrate American Indian Month. Ian.
Thanks, Jeremy. Just a few things in my report. Health Insurance Committee met on the 27th. NIS, National Insurance Services, Aaron Casper and Mari Wagner came to do kind of an insurance 101. We had a lot of new committee members, so we wanted to make sure that we kind of went over the basics of health and dental insurance. Matt was at that meeting also. We have another meeting coming up March 25th. At that meeting, we'll review and recommend the 24-25 school year insurance rate changes to the committee and get their input. And then for the board, we'll present that on the April 1st meeting for your, hopefully your approval. Every 3 years, we have to submit a pay equity compliance report to make sure that we're in compliance, and Kate did that this year. It was our third year was up, and we received that we are in compliance, so that was good to have. And then the last thing is just an update on the middle school theater. Just want to keep the board in the loop on that. We're kind of breaking it down into phases due to just funds, and the main portion of that will be renovating the theater, the middle of the theater with the seats, the lights. I just put a list together of what we have bids out for phase one, and then phase two, depending on where the costs come in for phase one. We'll start working on those. We are starting to get estimates on phase two, just so we have those available. Right now, so far, knock on wood, the estimates for phase one have been coming in very well. So hopefully we can move into phase two right away.
Thanks, you guys. Our next item, discussion items. First, review of policies 411 to 415. Any questions or concerns on those? The next discussion is second review of policies 406 to 410. Any questions on those?
Is this, there was one, hang on a second, let me look at what 4.6 to 4.10 are. Are those the, sorry, I missed my chance, it was on the other ones, but I sent an email to Emily about it. There was one that says, we review this every year, and then at the bottom, we don't review it every year. So those are sort of inconsistent, but I just let her know. Cool.
So we'll make sure we do if that's in the policy.
Yeah, it says in the policy we do.
Next item is board action, approval of the memorandum of understanding for the QComp coordinator.
So move.
Second.
A motion by Bill and seconded by Sarah Brink. Any further discussion?
Just share that this MOU, in the contract, the QComp coordinator is a position that's paid by, it's a half-time release or up to a half-time release from the teaching duties. So traditionally, it's been someone that teaches half-time and then is a QComp coordinator for half the day. What we found is that as we've moved through the years, QComp coordinator we've had for maybe 20 years in the district. It's not a 0.5 position, and it's hard for teachers it's hard for any teacher to do that, but especially outside of high school. It's really been kind of limited to a high school staff because of that release time. So what this MOU allows is we'll do, instead of a release time, we're going to pay a stipend for the position. So the teacher can teach full day and be QComp coordinator, and then they receive an extra stipend for that work, which opens it up to all of our elementary and middle school teachers as well. So it gives a wider opportunity for teachers to apply for it. So we feel this is a good fit for the needs of the district and opens the door for more teachers to participate that are interested in the work.
Very good. Any further discussion?
I should also share the teachers have approved the MOU. They did the EA did a vote on it, and they have approved it.
We'll call for the vote. And that is approved. Next board action is approval of the 24-25 and 25-26 school calendars. I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Sarah Runcie and seconded by Sarah Brink to approve our calendars for next year and the year after. Any further discussion?
I don't have a lot to add other than what I shared in my report earlier, but this does allow for the 175 student days and 185 staff days with the PD opportunities. And calendar committee met and kind of talked about a lot of different options, and we do feel this is the best way within the confines of what we need to follow to meet those needs for next year.
I will call for the vote. And that is approved. Next board action is approval of the seniority list.
So move.
I'll second it. A motion by Bill Swope and seconded by myself to approve the seniority list. Any discussion? This is something that we just approve every year.
An annual list of, each of our staff.
I'll call
Licensed staff.
for the vote. And that is approved. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Matt.
You, Matt.